100 devs make a video game, but no communication between them is allowed. In the first 2 episodes of the series, the first 50 devs built a vibrant world, complete with spellcasting, angry gnomes, giant mushrooms, and turd-filled dragons. We now continue the biggest game dev collaboration on YouTube with 25 fresh, insanely talented devs. What will they add to the game? Will this project dissolve into chaotic nonsense or turn into something truly great? Let's find out, starting with Cartoon Coffee.
My name is Cartoon Coffee. As soon as I played this game, I had a lot of thoughts.
Void your bowels and throw it at me. Ah, my one weakness. How did you know?
What did I get myself into? But I didn't have a lot of time to dwell on it. I'm a 2D artist, literally, and I'm thinking that this game can use a little polish in some areas. First impressions are a big deal, and one of the first things you see in this game are these spell icons. So I turned these spell icons from this to this. And while I'm at it, I'll change some of the VFX of the spells to be slightly more interesting. For this effect, I added a halo to give it more of a punchy impact. Added some shards to this one, I intensified the fire and added a spiral to this one, as well as some other minor changes. Oh, and if you're into VFX, I have a free VFX pack you can download at cartooncoffeegames.com. At this point, I was starting to run out of time, but I wanted to make one last contribution, something that can really add that last bit of polish. This NPC is one of the first characters that you see, and the original design has a lot of charm, but I'm dying to give him a makeover. I think he deserves it. So, with the help of AI, I gathered some references to help develop a new wizard design. And in the end, this is what I got. If you want to see the full breakdown of my contribution, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. Best of luck to the next game dev.
Okay, just putting the finishing touches on my part. Now, all that's left to do is touch the eternal toilet. No, I refuse to let the biggest game dev YouTuber collab of all time turn into poop. Who is that?
It is 4Kids TV that censors arguably too many things. I'm here to tell you, the toilet never existed. As those who have gone before you, rocks, rice balls, Sanjis, cigarettes, all never existed. The poop was really just mana crystals.
But what about all the other devs' work? I can't just remove it.
Here, have this poop talk. Allow people to play the way they want to.
Okay.
Censorship.
Please check out Monster Path.
Okay, that's all I did. Bye!
I'm Slobbymonk and I'm hijacking this project for now. When I played the game, my character just kept on pooping, and every time I ran into it, I lost health. I didn't like that, so I tied up the player's column. But without the pooping mechanics, you can't start the game, since the poop was used to kill the wizard in the beginning. So I needed something else to kill the wizard with. And I found the perfect tool, a knife.
Ah, my one weakness. How did you know?
I also put down a bunch of them, so that even when you miss, you still have a bunch left to throw. Before removing poop, I was going to make it heal you, because that would be a lot more fun than it hurting you like it did. But since I removed poop, I can't do that anymore, so I made enemies drop health when you kill them. Then I actually found out they already did that, so I just multiplied the amount they dropped by a lot. This way, players will be punished a lot less for pushing enemies and will feel more powerful, like in Doom. What was that? Why did my screen go all weird when I said Doom? Cool. Activate. Doom. I noticed there weren't a lot of enemies, so other than fixing some annoying bugs, I spent my time on making a few more enemies. The first one is a slime-based enemy that splits into 2 upon being killed, like in Flagships and Galaxian, at least according to ChatGPT. I didn't actually find anything, so yeah, I actually stole the ID from Minecraft Slimes, obviously. While playing the desert map, I found a bunch of witches and flying skulls, so I decided to add another enemy that's more in theme, a giant centipede. But since I recently watched Dune 2, I decided to go with a sandworm. You have to first break all of its body parts before being able to kill it. And I also added some particles for a nice sanding effect, you know. So that's all for my part. On with the next dev.
Hi, I'm Andy from the Gaming Forge, and I have this small YouTube channel where I make cute, wholesome videos. So I got this project and I was very confused in the beginning. I got stuck at this mushroom running parkour thing and also got obliterated by the boss. Instead of focusing on developing new combat or monsters, I've worked on annoying bugs and UI, like this speedrunning board you see in the right corner. And because the controls were so confusing for me when I started playing this game, I decided to start working on a tutorial. I made a simple scene, added it to the main menu, and recorded some audio for the storytelling and tutorial voices. You touched the forbidden item and the wizards of Askaroth trapped you in the lowest dungeon. After tweaking the audio in Audacity for a bit, I imported them in Unity, created a script that plays the audio one after the other and also blocks the player from moving so that you have to listen to the whole audio before you go.
Rich freedom, but beware.
I decided to also post a picture of my cats here, and because the Hall of Heroes was too dark and I want to honor our animals, I also lightened up the mood here by painting in more green and adding gold to the statues. My time is up. Be sure to check out my work. Find Eden should be available by the time you're watching this video, and good luck to the next developer.
First thing I added was a nice tilt, like in the old Quake and Doom, since that looks like the style we're going for. Now, I found this throwable barrel mechanic so funny, so I wanted to expand on it. I wanted to give it an alternate use for countering hordes of enemies, so I made them explode and do splash damage when you shoot them with one of your spells. I was gonna add more barrels around the maps so you could use it in more of your encounters, but I forgot. Hopefully some of the following devs can take a look at that. Now, I come from developing a multiplayer FPS with crazy movement mechanics, so the next thing I added, quite honestly, didn't really need to be in the game, but I did it anyways. I added a grapple hook. It'd be super nice if another dev could tie this into the gameplay with map elements centered around it, so we'll see. I had some more cool ideas, but I was running out of time, so the final thing I wanted to add was some new music, specifically dynamic music, which is where the intensity of the music adjusts to the intensity of the level. Here's what I cooked up. And towards the end of the first level, it sounds more like this. Last thing I did was I added my dog to the Hall of Heroes. Super excited to see how this turns out.
We've created a free game creation course called the Launchpad. This is our gift to the Blackthornprod community. So if you're inspired by these videos and want to learn how to make your own games, want to bring your own game ideas to life, then now is your chance with this free course. Within the Launchpad, we teach you the fundamentals of the Unity game engine, C# programming, and we even show you how to make a complete miniature kingdom management video game. We've poured a lot of love into this course with stylish example scenes, clear and crisp explanations, as well as project files with all of the Blackthornprod artwork and scripts. So if you want to try out game development, then this is the very first step that you should take. The link to this free course is in the description. And now let's go back to our project with the next developer.
The first thing I decided to do was clean up the UI. For a shooter, this is doing way too much. So it went from this to this. After that, I wanted to add one of my favorite features in games like these: companions. So I set up 3 potential friends who would follow you around and aid you: Droppy, Hexy, and Spiky. Droppy would aim at enemies and shoot when you shoot. Hexy would do the same thing, but they'd shoot at their own time interval. And Spiky would seek out nearby enemies and deal physical damage. Thank you for having me, guys.
Hey, I'm Menon, a game dev, and I've been working on a gliding puzzle game called Airborne for the past year. If you would like to see the development progress, feel free to watch the devlogs I post on my YouTube channel. Now, getting into the wizard game, I spent some time playtesting and noticed the only special spell was the tornado, so I plan on adding a laser as well. Implementing a beautiful laser also broke a couple of things I hope the future devs will catch on to. Now I needed to make an icon for the laser, with no pixel art experience whatsoever. I'd say I did a decent job though. If anyone wants to change it, please feel free to do so. Of course I had to decorate the laser with some spark impact effects, and voila, the laser is even laggier. I thought it would only be fair if the enemies also had a laser in their arsenal. So I modeled this mechanical laser shooting worm, placed it in the parkour site, gave it custom IK constraints through math that I don't even understand myself, and finally made it follow the player through the parkour course, creating a need for rush. Due to currently being a senior in high school, I did not have too much time to work on the project, but I hope you enjoyed my contributions.
Hi, I'm Andy, a solo game dev from Germany. Currently working on an action-adventure game. If you're into that kind of stuff, give my channel a follow. Okay, let's do a quick playtest to find out what we can add to the game. Good luck fixing that. Oh look, someone added companions to the game. I had no clue what they were doing, so I added some descriptive text boxes to them. Nice. I also added some magic barrels to the game. Shooting them at the right time will damage, greatly damage or heal everyone inside the explosion radius. Heading to the next dev.
Hi there, my name is Caleb and I make video games on Well, you've probably heard that enough already, so I'll just get right into it. The first thing I noticed when I opened up the project was the main menu screen. It was alright, but I think it was due for a redesign. So I started looking at some other games to take some inspiration, and I was especially inspired by Super Meat Boy. So I wanted a similar design as I thought that would best fit the game. My plan was to have the title in the top, a wizard in the corner, the buttons on the side, and these black borders running across the top and bottom. So with the idea in place, I opened up Procreate and got to work. I started out by designing the title and gave it a 3D effect. Then I drew the wizard in the corner, giving him a thumbs up. Lastly, I added the buttons and gave them a blue background to balance the composition a little bit. With the menu art done, I exported each piece individually into Unity and animated them to give them a starting animation. But something was missing.
Wizard Battle Arena! Wizard Battle Arena! Wizard Battle Arena!
The main menu music didn't quite fit the main menu screen anymore, so I tried making my own music in FL Studio, but I couldn't get anything to fit right. So I slapped on some old music that I had made a while ago and called it a day.
Wizard Battle Arena!
How's it going? My name is TJ. I am a Unity developer, and when I was handed the project, I immediately booted it up and jumped right in. I found myself in a very, very spooky dungeon.
It was dark and dingy in this scary place, and I needed some way to cheer the player up.
So I wanted to add a pet. This was such a good idea that someone else had already done it. So I thought, what could I do that's even better than a pet? And I got it. A goblin. Enter Boblin the Goblin. In order to make his head turn to look at the player, I used Unity's animation rigging package.
I wrote some code that would angle the goblin's head to track where the player's camera is, so it looks like he's looking at you with his big, sad little eyes. Also, if you get too far away, he runs up to you.
And of course I had to add a goofy little run. How could you not? It's a goblin. Anyways, thank you so much for the opportunity. Passing it off to the next person.
Hey, my name is Zyger and I'm a content creator on YouTube. When I first got the project, I realized there was some sound effects in the main menu, but none in the level select screen, so I added some sound effects to the level select screen as well. Next up, I ended up changing the end screen by turning the screen from this to this, and I also added an emissive material to the crystal to make it shine. As the final things, I added my dog to the Hall of Pets and changed the end of the level to not just be empty, but instead have a portal-looking thingy. And just before my time ran out, I also managed to change some mesh colliders on the stairs to box colliders, and went through some scripts to optimize them. And that was me.
Hey everyone, it's been a while. So at first when getting this opportunity, I really felt like I wanted to take my time, make the most of the 3 days that I was given and create something beautiful. And I absolutely did that and didn't leave it to the last minute and only have 3 hours to work on it. Why am I like this? So after no consideration, I decided to add something that's easy to implement and something that I think gives a lot of bang for its buck. Bullet time. I enjoy bullet time in this style of bullet hell shooter thing. Something to give the player a second to breathe and to feel untouchable. Thus, I implemented a modular bullet time system that's set to randomly or not randomly trigger when the player kills an enemy. The two main features is that it lerps the time scale to slow down time, but also lerps the pitch of all audio sources so that you get the slow down time feeling. Make it a singleton system, slap that bad boy in, and call it from pretty much wherever you want. It's pretty simple, but effective. Thanks so much for including me.
Hi, I'm Elias/IlPrini of Anbagames, and here are my changes, done really quickly. So I fixed a bunch of issues and crashes revolving around carrying items. The second level boss you couldn't really defeat because there was no knives in the battlefield, so I just gave all of the rocks his knife. A lot of minor UI changes and fixes, just improvements. So as far as like the cooler changes or the bigger things, I added a mana bar to the reticle, so you know how much mana you had at all times. I made the headshot text a lot kind of smaller and nicer. I gave the little companion dude more of a use, so he carries around these bombs. And I also added a button that lets you kind of summon him in front of you. I reduced the amount of particles on kills because it was lagging my game every time I killed multiple enemies. And that was a brief overview of all of the little changes. There was a few more that I just don't really have time to go into. Lots of little stuff. If you thought I did a good job, feel free to check out my main project on Steam, Orb Devils. It's deck building roguelike.
Guys, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We have some insane videos cooking, and it's also one of the best ways to support our work. So if you want to see intense game dev competitions, inspiring devlogs, and wild passive game challenges, then stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Félix. I'm a freelance game developer working on the side on my personal project, Transhumance. After a bit of testing, I felt what the game was lacking was a connection between the mechanics. So I thought it'd be nice to expand on the special spells, giving them additional effects that can be used outside of combat. I gave the tornado the ability to launch the player in the air, which could be used for platforming as a double jump. For the beam, I made it a pure magic beam that spawned temporary crystals on the ground. That way, the player can create their own platforms and covers. Finally, I expanded on the light spell so it can be used as a flashbang to stun enemies. In addition, I added my family's cat to the Hall of Heroes. That was fun, see you all, and good luck to the next dev.
Hi, I'm Chip. Opening this project, I see there's a lot going on already. We got multiple levels, a tutorial room, spell selection, parrying, and a surprising amount of poop references. Not sure what I can add. Wait a second. Who are you? I took this goblin guy, upgraded his model, added a custom skeleton, some new animations, a bouncy little run cycle, an overly dramatic death, materials that matched the rest of the characters, and adjusted some of his code.
Now together we will rule the world.
That's all for me. Play my latest jam game, Bloodpack, on itch.io for free. Bye!
Hey everyone, I'm Taha. Since the project is already past this halfway point, I didn't want to do any critical changes. First, I played the game and mapped out what I've seen. So we have a main menu, really cool art. My only feedback with this was that it was a bit static. I designed the layout schema, then basically implemented what I had in mind. And I also coded a generic button script that adds visual and sound interaction to all of the buttons. The next part was the level select panel. So this is what I had in mind, and this is my implementation of it. We basically have the description panel in the left so that we have some kind of area to put information, which we didn't have in here. You see the Wizard Land, Dwarven Ruin, Runic Desert, and Hall of Heroes, which is the most important level of them. And after that, we had the in-game menu, which had some stat indicators, skill indicators, and so on. I basically put all of the weapon skills and stats in the left side so that the right side can be empty. Then I went and did my addition to the Hall of Heroes, Luna and Binnas. So I'm not sure how this project came this far without this feature. We can actually pet him now. Okay, we can pet him.
Hi, I'm Eric from Clipper. I'm currently working on Dead Scrap, a survival horror game set in dystopian space station. You can wishlist the game on Steam and follow my strange devlogs on my YouTube channel. I need to mention that I knew about the project before and has changed a bit since the last vlog that Blackthornprod published. As a 67th dev, 2 places short of the golden spot, I had a lot of changes to look at. I started with fixing a few issues I noticed straight away, like the explosion mechanic, which applied damage to the player multiple times, or the gnome, where the audible memes were heard like it was all in the head. Then I had a choice: expand the content or focus on fixing and cleaning. With a typical Eastern European mindset, I decided to silver tape another system, artistically inspired by Risk of Rain 2. The collection of droppable items that change the player stats, something that would further randomize the experience between the runs. I changed the UI a bit, probably 100th time, then I added the items and coded all the mechanics. To expand on the monster lore, I added a new enemy, an Archmage, who is a stronger version of the wizard and is locally known as the Beast from the Vadovitz. Finally, I relocated the companion chooser to make it optional and swapped 3D models of barrels and mushrooms to 2D billboard sprites, which should better fit the game's look.
When I first opened the project, I was super impressed. The game is quite fun and the game feel is on point. I figured since so many people have already worked on it, I should not make any significant changes to the core gameplay. Instead, I focused on small tweaks. First, I toned down the post-processing like ambient occlusion and vignette to make it more subtle. I then tried to improve the grass by having the grass shader blend with the floor. Unfortunately, the terrain kept turning yellow when I tried updating the texture, so eventually I just gave up and moved on. Next up, I noticed the bouncy mushrooms look a bit strange when you jump on them. Since they only rotate around their y-axis, you can clearly tell it's a plane during the jump. I changed it to rotate towards the camera on all axes, so you can still tell it's a mushroom during the jump. Then I looked at the main menu and noticed the cute wizard theme. To build on this theme further, I added a wizard head screen transition when you switch between scenes. Finally, I wanted to do something to make the environment feel more alive, so I added spider webs with spiders moving around in them.
Hi, I'm Shrekcraft. I make Shrek games and Shrek videos. I also help students at the Club Game Development Society from UNSW. Find our booth at PAX Australia this October to play our awesome video games. Add over, let's go! The mushrooms were 2D sprites, which looked a bit awkward from above, so I replaced them with a new retextured 3D model that bounces instead. I also produced music in Reaper for Runic Desert, which didn't have its own unique song then. One gripe I had was the lack of consistency in terms of UI style and pixel scale. I decided to risk being that guy again and redo the entire HUD, but at a late retro 360p resolution. The HUD is now larger so my shield can visually block it. That is how you hold a shield, right? I even made my own font and fixed the broken equipment UI. Finally, I fixed some bugs and made improvements like bullets ignoring items, better ground detect, and poop disappearing over time. And for those who enjoy toilet humor like young alphas do, I changed the ending to bring the whole family together.
Hey, my name is Tarook and I'm overwhelmed. When I was invited to participate in this challenge, I think I underestimated what 100 devs make a game without communicating really means. When I opened the project for the first time, I was greeted by a gigantic HUD that covers most of your screen, a bunch of errors in the console, a goblin that keeps walking in front of me, and a lot, and I mean a lot, of game mechanics, some of which I don't think really go hand in hand together. So for this project, I will not be adding or removing any game mechanics, even though the game designer inside me really wants to, and I'll just focus on the visuals of the game. So I started by reordering the HUD elements so that you could actually see the game. Since the speedrun panel is kind of a feature by itself, I didn't want to outright remove it, but I also couldn't find a way to make it not be as encumbering as it was, so my solution was to make a toggle in the settings that would show or hide it. Now that the HUD was a bit more clear, I decided I'd try to make the game a bit more consistent with its art style by switching my programming cap for a pixel artist cap, and making some sprites to replace some of the placeholder assets that were in the game. Most of the sprites I made were for the upgrades from the Risk of Rain inventory thing on top of the screen. Then I added a light to the bouncy mushrooms because they were very hard to notice. And finally, I did put my programming cap back on for a bit to do some bug fixing here and there. And that's it for me. Check out my YouTube channel. Okay, bye-bye!
Hi, my name's Iiro. I'm a game design student from Finland. Last time I did one of these challenges, people were annoyed that I showed off my son so much, so the first thing I did was add a photo of him in the Hall of Heroes. Some men just want to watch the world burn. This game is one of the buggiest pieces of software I've ever seen. Like, why does shooting the door hurt the player? I couldn't figure it out, so I also couldn't fix it. This game is such a hodgepodge of systems, I didn't want to add anything to make it even more complex. The UI looked like this, and someone had broken the rules by leaving this note, which I completely ignored, and did some minor UI fixes to make it more readable. I fixed this. The mushroom model was missing, and someone had already made a new one, which was also missing, so I made a third one. Under all this muck, there's actually a decent movement shooter under the hood, so I decided to make an endless level where you can practice the movement mechanics. I called it the Danger Room. Get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? It's from the X-Men show. I made this destructible prison door that you have to blow open to get to the level. This is Iiro from the Darkroom signing off. See you in the next challenge.
Let's see what we got here.
Wizard Battle Arena!
It's beautiful. Let's first give the tutorial a try. Well, there's my first task. Let's fix up this tutorial area a bit. First, I moved those explosive barrels away from where you're supposed to throw things. I also found this beautiful area outside of the tutorial building, but it was blocked off, so I also had the button open the door when it was pressed. Task 1 complete. On to task 2, which is have the pickup the player is holding rotate with the player. It's gotta come to the bit where the pickup is being moved to, and have the pickup's rotation be the same as the pickup holding game object's rotation. And voila! Task 2 is complete. At this point, I was running out of time, but I would at least like to do something a little bigger than a handful of small changes. So I decided I would create a new level. That's all I managed to do. Hopefully, the next dev can turn this into something cool. Anyways, go wishlist my team's game. Slap it together. Bye!
Hi, we are Chris and Jasper from Randstad Games. We love to make games, and as Dutch game devs based in Kuda, we're thrilled to see some Gouda cheese in the game.
Speaking of cheese, we saw some hand images laying around, so we made sure the correct hand images were showing when choosing a spell.
Great to see what all the previous devs have accomplished, but there was still room for some improvements. We updated the UI with some boss information. Now you can check the awesome name of the boss as well as its health.
The game has multiple great levels, but you were able to play them in any order. We prevented players from doing so, now players have to complete levels in order.
To make the game a little more interesting, we added coins. Who doesn't like money? So we added a reward for killing those angry enemies. But we ran out of time, maybe another dev can do something with the coins.
Last but not least, maybe the most important addition. We added my cat Koen to the Hall of Fame.
Thanks Blackthornprod for the invite to this epic collaboration event. Can't wait to see what other indie devs can do with this project.
What's up, it's your boy Johnny Turbo. So I noticed that level 4 was actually more of like a practice arena rather than a regular level. So I ended up just taking that and setting it up as a regular practice level that you can access through the main menu. Now I didn't want to completely get rid of that level, so I ended up turning it into a bit of a bonus level that happens after level 2. So the idea with the bonus level is I just cranked up the number of gnomes, a total of 1,000 gnomes that chase after you. Now out of the box with Unity, you can't get this kind of performance with this number of dynamic entities. However, I specialize in Unity's data-oriented technology stack and their component system, which gives you a lot of optimizations, especially when you have large numbers of dynamic entities. So I ended up implementing it for just this level specifically, and I do a bunch of interesting tricks to get everything to work with the existing code base. But yeah, I think it ended up being a fun little bonus level where you basically have max health and max mana, and you get to see how many gnomes you can destroy in 90 seconds. So I think it's a fun little level that breaks up the flow of the game and just adds a little bit of variety to it. So anyways, that's it for me, and thank you very much to Noah and Liam for inviting me on as dev number 75, closing out episode 3 of the 100 Devs Challenge. See ya!
First of all, I love the main menu, the artwork, Wizard Battle Arena, looking good.
Okay, let's test this thing out. Okay, calm down, I'm trying to talk.
Bonus stage, Runic Desert, Hall of Heroes, amazing. I love the little main menu here, how it's looking, really sweet.
This is who are you?
Okay, I guess we'll go get one of these abilities. I like the broccoli the most, honestly. Oh wait, I just got it. I thought it was I thought it was like a portal to go get it.
Let's shoot up this wizard. I'm not sure what the goblin does exactly. Does he just explode?
So far is that Jesus?
What am I fighting? Weird priest-like characters. Clearly that needs to change. Really doesn't work well with the art, although I appreciate the meme.
Jesus, there are so many mechanics. I feel like I'm probably ignoring half of them. Oh god. but I feel like once you get good at this, you can probably go crazy with all your abilities.
It does. It feels like 75 different people have worked on this game. I just have no idea what is happening.
I like the fact that there's these nice systems in place which are increasing the power of my character, kind of similar to a game like Risk of Rain, perhaps, where I'm getting all these little upgrades.
Alright, here we go. Yona Gold boss fight! Yeah, I like that there is progression from level to level now. Very nice.
They're blob monsters. Absolute giant blob monster. This is probably made by Slobbymonk.
Slobbymonk put himself in the game? Come on, dude.
Look at the gnome! Alright, little tornado spell here. Let's grab a little ice blast.
I really like that every level has its own track playing in the background, you know?
I just pooped on somebody's dog. I'm sorry.
Guys, I think there's some really impressive progress that's been made on this project so far. It's all super inspiring to see like what 75 unique creators can actually do without communicating.
Feels like a fever dream. Anyway, well done, guys. It's a thing. We made a thing.
Punch like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see the fourth and final part of the 100 devs make a game without communicating. So far, 75 devs have worked on this game, which means that 25 more still need to cook, still need to add to this project. What's going to happen to it? Will it be overrun by giant centipedes, or will this turn into the next viral hit? We'll find out in the fourth and final episodes. Now, if there's a dev that you would love to see on this challenge, then let us know in the comments and we'll try to reach out. With that said, we'll see you in the next video, guys. Cheers.